Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Certified Forgotten. We are typically a show that will bring you an hour-long episode, which features an incredible guest, and we talk about a film with 10 or fewer reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Every other week, on average, my good friend Matt Donato and I will join forces to talk about a relatively new release that doesn't have any kind of review criteria, just something that excited us and that we wanted to talk about. But for this week, you know what? I remembered that part of the fun of owning your own publication is to be able to talk about the shit that excites you, that you want to talk about. And I want to fucking talk about Alien Earth. So I have recruited Matt Donato. I made him go through the first 3 episodes of Alien Earth this evening so that we could talk about the show on this podcast. Are you excited, buddy?
I was gonna say, you don't need to twist my arm to talk about Alien. I know you're the Alien guy, but I also am a fan of the franchise. I am fully caught up. I have my opinion, so this was a good nudge to get me to watch the show because I am the first person to tell you I am not great with keeping up with television. So whenever I
Right.
see a property that I love do a television show, I'm always like, shit, how am I gonna fit that into my normal review schedule? So this gave me a reason to sit down and catch up with Alien Earth. Now I'll catch up episode by episode because I'll admit I wasn't aware they were almost hour plus episodes. So
Yes.
now we'll be in pace.
Well, let me ask really quickly since you brought it up. How many hours a week would you say of movies you watch, and then how many hours a week of television outside of that, if any?
It it comes down to the fact that television for me is my wind down.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm in a normal week where I have review writing to do, I'm essentially Monday through Thursday minimum, probably with Sunday night as well, watching at least one movie, whether that's going to a screening or watching a screener over in my apartment, at least one movie a night. So that already puts me on, well, we say it all the time. We're both day job critics. So I
Right.
work 9 to 5. That is nothing to do with movies. So I have no time to fill the gaps there. I log off my regular job and then it becomes, well, it's 5:30 already. It's 6 o'clock. Do I want to play video games for an hour just to kind of detach? So yeah, I'm really only fitting in one movie a night because then at that point, I'm watching my screener, I'm eating dinner, and by the time I start writing my review, it's 11 p.m. minimum. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
no time for the TV I want to watch. So the TV I watch will be during dinner and just reruns of something comfortable or food competition shows because that's what brings me comfort.
Hell yeah, it does, brother. All right, so something like Alien Earth is it's a bit of a luxury for you to be able to sit down and watch something like this. Then I like that.
Luxury work, whatever you want to call it, but I'll call this a luxury because again, it's a property I really wanted to dive into, and I will say I saw the first 10 minutes at South by Southwest back in March. We did a little event. I got to sit down with Noah and we watched. It wasn't just me; it was me and a group of critics. But yeah, they showed us the first 10 minutes, and we had a 30-minute Q&A with him. So it was really fun to get a wee taste of Alien Earth and then just pick Noah's brain and be like, we have no idea what's coming, but you showed us the zoo, you showed us the little
Mhm.
things, and now we're we had all the questions in the world about practical alien design. So we'll get into all that.
Yes, we will. Well, for those of you that haven't started the show, shame on you. Give it a watch. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, but we'll get there. Here's a quick plot synopsis for where Noah Hawley will be taking his adaptation, his spin on the alien universe. The year is 2120, and mankind has finally conquered death. At least that's the hope of Prodigy Corporation's CEO, Boy Cavalier, that's his real fucking name, who has seemingly perfected the art of transferring human consciousness into synthetic form. His first success is Wendy, a dying child who is granted eternal life in an adult body. But when a Weyland-Yutani research vessel crash lands in the middle of Prodigy Corporation territory, Wendy and her synthetic researcher Kirsch are selected to lead a rescue mission, not for the survivors, but for the dangerous and lucrative alien life forms set loose on the vessel. Following in the heels of Legion and Fargo, Alien Earth is the latest small screen adaptation from showrunner Noah Hawley. Donato, I want to start with you because I talk about Alien all the fucking time on Blue Sky and in other places. It's just my franchise. It's just what I love. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm excited to get a lot more of it. We recorded an episode last year about Romulus, and we both kind of had fun and interesting and not uncomplimentary things to say about the movie. I'm curious where you're sitting with Alien Earth after 3 episodes.
I love the idea of mining the Alien franchise for deeper storytelling in the sense that, well, everything's been happening cosmically. Everything's about the alien species, the xenomorphs, or spaceships out there in Weyland Yutani trying to bring back or investigate or just all out warfare, like across the
Mhm.
board. I love my aliens. I love the movie, as in, like, I think Aliens is
Right.
my favorite. I'm one of those people. Alien is also just fucking immaculate. Like, when I say Aliens is my favorite, Alien is right there behind it, and they're both just amazing films. I'm a Covenant apologist. I am one of the
Fuck
Team
yeah,
Covenant people,
boy.
so I that is kind of where I stand on the franchise. The rest are a smattering of ups and downs. I find value in most of them, but all that to say, getting to Alien Earth specifically really intrigued me because now we have it's not just the capitalist hellscape of Weyland Yutani. It is the literal political capitalist hellscape of multiple Wayland Yutani, Prodigy, other different companies out there vying for control. And that to me is so much more interesting. That to me, I know it's talking about like government stuff, but it's the Andor of it all, like bringing the political spectrum into it and
Yeah.
like delving more into these stories. As long as there are xenomorphs tossed in and out, which Alien Earth in the first 3 episodes have given us plenty of, and also new creatures to kind of establish a deeper lore in the creatures as well, I am I am invested. I am happy. I am invested. The Peter Pan of it all, the Lost Boys, I think
Mhm.
it is so smart to incorporate the synthetics into the storytelling, but have them also be children. So like children are reacting to everything that is happening around them, whether that be the alien egg discovery or that be outright like soldiers being brutalized by xenomorphs and other creatures, the horrors of what's happening being met by innocent children who are once again implanted into synthetic bodies. So
Right.
they also have this weird god complex about them that they haven't realized yet. And I think maybe that'll come later, but there's a lot of interesting ideas. I'm just curious how it's all going to come together in the end. And that's every show. It's only 3 episodes in, and there's a lot to go through. So to me, I'm getting a little curious how everything is going to tie together because I love Wendy. I love the brother sister thing going on. But I need a little more from the rest of the Lost Boys to really gravitate towards the whole Slightly and Smee
Yeah.
brotherhood and stuff like that. So I'm in on it. I'm in on it hardcore. Everything I have seen so far, I really like. I have questions about where we're headed, but that's a good thing, and that's captivation. That's keeping me intrigued.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that because I think you and I are probably pretty much in the same place. I love you describing yourself as an Alien Covenant apologist. This was my favorite franchise as a kid. Coming back to it and falling back in love with it has been a fun thing. You hear we've talked about it on the show behind before. You hear all those times that people are like, "Oh, everything that I loved when I was 13, I was right. Those are the things that I actually should still love." That's true. Everything I loved when I was 13 years old, I've spent the last 30 years trying to get back to. So that's an Alien is a big part of that. It's funny to me that as somebody who grew up loving Alien and Aliens, my favorite movies in the franchise are Covenant and Prometheus. Like I am a Ridley Scott prequel apologist until the end of my days, and I think that part of what I love so much about Alien Earth is you kind of said it well. You said that Hawley's kind of like picking from the franchise. He's really picking and choosing his favorite parts of the alien mythos to put in this movie. And it makes me very happy that apparently his favorite parts of the alien mythos is a lot of the prequel shit. You know, the alien prequels are about the character of David, the synthetic played by Michael Fassbender, who it's a modern day Prometheus. It's a Frankenstein story, who is created from nothing by man and finds his god to be incredibly fucking lacking, and then basically goes out, wreaking revenge on the rest of humanity as a result of that. That's the Frankenstein story. That's the David story, and that is in that the sins of parents visited upon their children and what that does to them is very much a big piece of what After Earth, Alien Earth is setting up right now. That is how they're presenting the character of Wendy and the rest of the Lost Boys. Boy Cavalier is a terrible, terrible like this is a character that we all know at some point is going to die a really bad and ugly death, not because of canon or any other thing, just because he's a shitheel corporatist in the Alien universe, and that never ends particularly well for them. So I love that there's so much that Holly can take from, and as somebody who believes that the Alien movies live or die with their synthetic characters, that the xenomorphs are sort of the never-ending stories version of the Nothing, right? They are an evil that a force of nature, a MacGuffin. They're just there, and it's how people react to them that really sets the stage for the story. I'm absolutely adoring the new additions to the synthetic canon. Timothy Olyphant as Kirsch is this is basically he's just playing Timothy Olyphant whenever he shows up on late night talk shows, and does his whole shtick. That is the character of Kirsch, and I couldn't be happier with it. There's a lot of stuff there that even if it doesn't all come together, the pieces are enough for me to be excited to watch this show episode in and episode out for the rest of the season.
Well, it was the little thing that got me excited, and I think it's in episode 3 where it's revealed. But we're all very familiar with the alien eggs. We
Mhm.
know what pops out of them and what wants to hug on your face. We have seen that throughout all the films.
Yes.
But I love the idea that we are now with these multiple characters and some of them are not human, and the eggs only recognize the human vessel coming towards them, and like that's that Boy Cavalier is getting too close to it, and Oliphant's Kirsch has to like back him up and throw him out of the room. And there's a little bit of a power struggle right there where Boy Cavalier is like, what the fuck, like I'm the one in control, like I'm the one,
Right.
I'm the prodigy one. But Kirsch just looks back and he's just like, I know more than you and you're gonna die. It's a parasite. What do you do? And I love that little foil of like, oh, like Kirsch and all the Lost Boys can maneuver around this world and do what they want, and the humans can't. And I like that is just this that it's not the start of it because they've already introduced plenty of the anti AI commentary, synthetic commentary, man versus what he creates, and once again the Frankenstein of it all. But I think that's such an interesting way to approach, especially making Wendy the first of the Lost Boys created and the first of the, you know, children who were saved to now live forever. She's the Ripley in this
Yeah.
show. And she's also formidable in a way that Ripley couldn't be
Mhm.
because once again, flesh and blood. That's nothing to say beyond the fact that characters have been human to this point. So I am so
Um,
curious. Well,
except for Alien Resurrection, where Ripley is actually a hybrid
correct.
clone of Ripley
Correct.
and a xenomorph. Excuse me, thank you.
Correct. But you know what I'm saying.
I
But
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I again just those little tidbits are there that I really like that Noah's playing with. And once again, it's new, it's fresh. It doesn't feel like a retread where Romulus to me, just because it was the most recent, is playing with the Ridley Scott prequel ideas, but like it was playing with them in a forced way. It was playing with them in a way that if you want to hear us talk about more, listen to our Romulus episode.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
like I was barely positive on it because I think it shoehorned too much of the prequels and the other films and all of that stuff, where Alien Earth has so much more time to separate everything and tell a full story, because again we're talking about hour-long episodes, so we have plenty of
Yes,
time to escape into the world. And I think Noah's doing a really good job so far of really expanding the story and giving us something that is new. But I think most of all I'm watching this and I'm going like, this is the most monocle ass shit ever,
it is.
because it is Alien, it is everything about the xenomorphs. It also is the Earth story, and getting deeper into this. It's also about baseball, like literally being
It's
so
about
in
baseball.
tune with baseball. The score is also beautiful so far. I really like how it pulls in notes of the other scores from all the movies and stuff like that, but also has its own big like orchestral. But then every episode ends with like a rock and roll track, like Metallica and
Yeah,
other stuff. So there is a lot going on here, but I don't know. There's a little bit of Noah Hawley just having a lot of fun with this that I'm feeling, and I think that's essentially where I'm really most excited.
yeah. The fact that most of the episodes have ended so far with like a new metal track, which is such a such a funny thing to end your Alien episode with, and I'm absolutely here for it. As a fan of the franchise, I keep an eye on what the fans are saying. I follow the subreddits. I'm a member of like the, LV426 and the other communities on Reddit. And one of the things that just makes me sad as both a fan and a critic is when people try and make the pieces fit together. There are a lot of folks on Reddit that are basically like, here's my theory about, what Noah Hawley's doing with X, Y, and Z and how it fits together. And you see that too. There's places like Screen Rant that'll basically be like, there was an article that was posted that was like, Alien Earth just undid this big piece of Weyland-Yutani war lore. And it bums me out because here's the thing. I've talked about it. Every Alien movie is the pure id of the filmmaker, from David Fincher to Jean-Pierre Jeunet to James Cameron to Ridley Scott. Everybody gets to make the Alien movie that they want. Even Fede Alvarez made the Alien movie that they want to make based on what they're into. And I think that the same courtesy has been afforded Noah Hawley to pick and choose from the alien lore to do the stuff that he's most interested in without an overabundance of adherence to or stress about canon. Is there an established alien canon that brings together Prometheus and Covenant with everything else that came afterwards? Yes, kind of. The Free League tabletop role playing game has David Egaska, who has worked as a consultant to 20th Century Fox before. He has done his best to build canon. So, like, if you go through the first like 30 pages of the book, are this really fascinating explanation of what the established and approved alien canon could be. What books, what comics are accepted canon, what the worlds are, what the corporations are. It's really fun to dig into that just for like a little bit of extra flavor and what the universe looks like. Prodigy Corporation is not part of that canon because it's a whole creation just for Noah Hawley's universe. There's a lot of folks that are like, oh, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means Noah Hawley had a really fun idea for a corporation, put it in a TV show. Noah Hawley's doing something that I've been desperate for the Alien franchise to do forever, which I'm really happy about, which is expanding the presence of alien life in the universe. There are more than just the xenomorph. There are other alien creatures that are part of this research vessel. It's great. Like, man has expanded to the stars. There's going to be weird shit they find on planets. I'm really happy that other stuff is there. But I think that's part of my bias or how I approach this series is I don't need it to fucking fit together. Like, if this is basically his Legion where he just does a psychedelic alien story, tentatively or tenuously connected to the movies that have come before, fuck yeah. Like, I'm into that. And I don't get the vibe, and it's a good point and a point I'll give you credit for. Um, Alien Romulus is really trying to steer the ship back into a place where everything sort of fits together. I'm not getting that from Hawley. Hawley's doing his shit, whatever his shit may be. And that's just so freeing. There aren't a lot of major franchises left that basically that let you one off every movie or TV show you want just to tell the best story that you can tell. It's kind of the 20th Century Fox properties right now, and that's a lot of fun to watch.
Especially though, I think Noah Hawley, as much as he's pulling from everything, the tone and the atmosphere and approach, I believe, does fit the prequels a little more
Yes.
because it is not Alien, where it is just outright sci-fi horror so far. It is not Aliens, where it is outright sci-fi action horror. We have a pretty good blend so far of telling complex character stories. The Lost Boys, once more, like calling them out. Wendy's evolution from small child with a disease to synthetic that is super fast and super strong, but
Yeah.
also maturing, having to mature so rapidly. Even over 3 episodes, I love what I've seen so far because she's so family focused, trying to find her brother the entire time, and that is just a sweet moment when they come together. I'm glad they didn't draw that out, by the way, and try to make it this whole like don't tell him who
Yeah.
I am kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
they just take that off the table immediately. No, you know who she is. This is great. Let's go forward. I think it's really smart the way they're playing with the character dynamics, like Wendy, or again, like Slightly and Smee. I really enjoy these two boys. Like they're not men, they're boys, despite being in the bodies that they are, the adult bodies. And when they're standing around the eggs, they're just like flippantly just being idiots. Like, they're play fighting, they're doing all this stuff that like children would do. And Kirsch having to come and be basically just being like, don't do that, please
Hmm.
don't do that. Kirsch or Morrow, I forget who has that moment where it's like, you're not going to be happy if you do the dumb thing around these. So I
Well, kind
like
of. Yeah.
the babysitting aspect. Like, it's weirdly fun. I like the way we're going with all of that, but we already have some great fucking xenomorph attack scenes. When the ship crashes and you've got the powdered dinner party happening where they're all dressed as all in their wigs and regal clothing, and no, we're not gonna leave. We're the hoity-toity. We're the 1%. Like, we can stay here. Boy Cavalier would call me directly. Nope. Dead by xenomorph immediately, and like bodies cut in half, crawling around the floor. Like, there is there is a decent amount of gore so far
Yes,
for
sir.
an alien film, and that brings me into this world where, like, we're still gonna get that. We're gonna get the gruesome action. We're gonna get the feral nature of the xenomorphs, and they will be killing machines, as well as all the other trinkets we've, all these little alien bugs running around sucking out tons of blood or trying to get in people's eyes. So yeah, they're paying attention to everything. I'm impressed. I'm happy. It's not just dragging in the character dynamic scenes, like, where I'm getting investment, and then I'm getting fun, and then I'm getting Metallica's Wherever I May Roam. So I don't know. I'm happy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good setup for character development. I think what they're doing with Boy Cavalier is really fascinating because he's getting it from both sides a little bit. Like Timothy Olyphant's Kirsch has very little respect for him and makes a really good point in episode 3 where he's talking about, you were about to launch this $1 trillion thing and you got sidetracked by a shiny object, which is every CEO that's in the headlines ever right now. And one of the more interesting characters, I think it's Curly. I think it's Arana James too, who recognizes that she has an opportunity to be his number one. And she has that great line in episode 3 where she's like, "I thought smart people weren't supposed to ask stupid questions." Like it is a show about posthumanism, first and foremost. And what the show posits from the opening jump, from its old school DOS style opening chyrons in the very first episode, is what is the future of humanity? Is it synthetics? Is it hybrids, which are, human consciousness in synthetic bodies? Maybe, probably. Don't think that's going to end well for everyone involved either. Or is it the cyborgs, the character of Morrow, who is a human with synthetic augmentation and implantations that allows him to sort of be a, we'll say, like Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines style cyborg is kind of what he's rocking with there. Um, one of the better lines in Alien Romulus, love it or not, is the freakish Ian Holm recreation shit, which we talk about ad nauseum in that particular episode. There is a line that he says, which is basically like, humanity went to the stars, this, and this, like all of these things are dangerous and deadly. Like humanity's in desperate need of an upgrade, is a line that he uses in that movie. And that's kind of what they're playing with here. Like humanity is not meant to travel between the stars. We need something. And so whether it's cyborgs, whether it's synthetics, whether it's hybrids, the fact that they are bringing that Noah Hawley has figured out a way to bring the Michael Fassbender David energy from the prequels, but bring it back into the corporate environment of the first two films, that feels really right to me. More than anything, that marriage of evil corporation with disappointed Frankenstein monster, having those two things converge in his show feels like it gives Holly the best of both the original movies and the newer movies to play with. And again, like he's entering, if the best characters in an alien movie are the synthetics. And I know you're not really talking about it yet, but I know that you saw The Long Walk, and I know that you are 1,000% here for David Johnson across the board, both in Alien Romulus and in that. Like he's legitness. Like it is where young actors emerge now as these characters. So the trajectory is just pointed up. Like it's also worth noting, I feel like every piece of promotional material we saw from Alien Earth was from the first two episodes. Have no fucking clue where this show is going in the long run over the course of the season. And I love that. I love that everything is going to be surprising.
It's even the little subplot of Nibs, one of the Lost Boys, and that's what they call them in the show. They are the Lost Boys, but there's a great joke about, like, half us are girls. Why are we called the Lost Boys? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just Boy Cavalier's idea of immortality, but the childish nature of his Zuckerberg, Elon Musk hybridization of just the worst of the worst tech CEOs. But going back to Nibs really quickly, even her little story about, well, I don't know where it's going to go yet, but we're getting teased nicely that it is going to go somewhere where she is thinking about being stuck in this body forever. And she is one of the girls who, as a child, before she gets her soul is transferred, whatever you want to call it, um, she asked, she's like, when do we get to go home?
Yeah.
And Wendy's like, shit, kind of gets around the answer, but like, hey, you live forever. So we're already getting shades of this character really coming to grips with the fact that, okay, I dodged a massive illness, and I've done the thing that so many humans want to do and beat death, but it comes with a price. So I do like this idea that we are going to play with so many AI parallels, let's say, every tech parallel we can have, every kind of paranoia about non-human entities being created and taking over, but also the idea of, uh, can that be a curse? So even that alone, like,
Mhm.
that is just one piece of Alien Earth, and it is for a character that hasn't really had a lot of time yet, so it is a small piece, but it's still integral to everything that's happening, and it is interesting to explore. So I
Yeah.
think that really just shows the entire breadth of ideas that Noah Hawley's going to try to bring together by the end of this. And again, I stand here a little, curious if they're all going to land, but where we are going, yeah, yeah.
So, last question for you. I hinted at this earlier. You kind of know how I feel. You did some of the original coverage of some of the Predator stuff. Killer of Killers. You were one of the first people to write about that. You've seen and written a little bit about the opening to Badlands as well. Um, do we? I'm of the opinion that I think that the 20th Century Fox properties are kind of the best things that Disney has going from a franchise standpoint right now. They're doing it it feels like they're doing it the way that they should, that any studio should, which is they're hiring talent, they're giving them toys in a sandbox, and they're saying, go do your thing. Go have fun, create something that vibes with everything that's come before, but fuck the idea of canon, fuck the idea of like everything having to fit together and the comic book approach it. But when you're done playing with it, you need to be able to reset everything so the next person can come in and pick it up. Like it's your sandbox to play with. Should horror fans, should fans that remember the good days of 20th Century Fox in the past be really excited about what's happening at that studio right now?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I am more excited because it does seem that these 20th century productions are being let to kind of explore stories that Disney wouldn't, let's
Mm,
say. They've got Disney money. I mean, Alien Earth looks fucking great. I know it's an FX show and everything, but
yes, it looks so
it
good.
looks the production, everything is so goddamn good. The xenomorphs, the practical, the digital, it all comes together. So I mean, listen, if it essentially the money is coming from there, but the creative decisions, Prey, would we have gotten a Prey without? Well, we would have, because I believe that was being created before they purchased. So I shouldn't use that as the example. I apologize. But now that they have the control of Disney, and Disney is all about franchises and keeping things going, as long as they're keeping things going in a way that is familiar enough to fans and gives us what we love, and there's no Disneyfication, let's say, I think
Mhm.
that's a huge win. That's one of the ways that monopolies suck. We shouldn't have monopolies. It
Yes.
is not good for the industry as a whole. But if you're asking me a specific question for properties like Predator and Alien, and to see them get gobbled into all that, I kind of think this is the best case scenario. This is not an advocation for everyone getting bought up by Disney or Amazon and whoever the final three will be in this triumvirate from hell. But these properties are being brought back to life in a way that maybe they might not have under solely 20th Century Fox or something like that. So I'm at odds with my thoughts on that, but I am excited for what I have seen so far. I think that's
Yeah. Just remember 20th Century Fox, Disney, whomever, your movie doesn't need to cost 200 million and make 500 million to break even, right? Like make stuff for 60 million, give it to directors, let them make your money back and then some in the theatrical. Don't feel like everything needs to be part of a six-part story that features the same characters. I am more excited at whatever weird shit Elle Fanning is doing in the Predator Badlands trailer than I would be if you brought back anybody else from the franchise and any other like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But like, I don't care. Give me weird new characters and weird new settings. Let them bounce off each other, and then wipe the deck clean and let somebody else come in with another original story.
I will
It,
say
it,
that's the one part where I'm most nervous is the blending of Predator and Alien at this point, because I mean, it showed it in the trailer. We saw the Wayland Yutani in her eye, so
yeah,
we're pretty much 99.9% sure that Badlands is going to be the crossover that brings both worlds together. But that's the one thing where the Disneyfication and this hunger for massive franchises and how do we get the most amount of money from these fan bases, well, slap them together. I'm fine with another Alien versus Predator if you want to go that route, but yeah, I think that's the one way where the Disneyfication could fail, and it's just the hunger for franchises. And
yeah,
like you said, I want standalone. Like I'd Prey, fucking perfect. That's
yep.
all I want. I just want more movies like Prey and not forcing in the ties.
I'm with you. And I even say this is the one person in the world who really stands by Alien versus Predator Requiem. There has to be one of us, and there is me. If Alien versus Predator Requiem has no defenders, I am dead, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's good. I did not expect to be holding water for a franchise this at this point in my life, but I'm having a great time with some of the decisions they've made, with the stories that they're telling, the books, the comics, and all that kind of stuff. So I will continue to be cautiously optimistic. The beautiful thing about the Alien franchise is, you dig back into the 90s and it was all over the fucking map. Ripley was alive, and then she was dead, and then she was a clone, and then she was really alive, and then Earth was invaded, and then that never happened. The history of Alien is the history of corporate buyouts and mergers and how that affected canon. So I like to think the Alien fans are not, they don't have a stick up their ass when it comes to that kind of stuff. Hopefully that's true. Who knows? New generation of fans probably comes with new expectations. So if they don't remember the dark days, they don't remember the dark horse days. Um, Beautiful, wonderful standalone series in there, but as a whole, bit of a mess. God bless. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Alien Earth is now streaming on Hulu if you have that, or Disney Plus if you have that, or whatever the current state of that particular corporate nightmare is. Donato, we're moving into spooky season, so throw a few places out there the folks can follow along with your writing. You're hosting a fucking screening. If
Yeah,
folks are listening to this, where can they go? Can they go watch a movie with you?
we've got a screening next week in Los Angeles at the AMC Century City on August 28th, where we'll be showing The Long Walk for free. So if you go over to Daily Dead, we have the article up with the RSVP link. All you got to do is, well, snag a ticket if they're still available, and you can go see The Long Walk for free in Los Angeles. And my vote of confidence for that is I fucking love this movie. And the social embargo is up, so I can't say much more than that, and I'm going to keep it there. But did not expect to be so bowled over by The Long Walk. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far, hands down, and that
Did you
that
did you know
does
the
not come
story?
lightly.
Had you read the novella before?
No, this is purely from
Okay.
a movie
Yeah.
standpoint. I will
Yeah, yeah.
try to. I actually will try to read it before the screening because I'm going to do a Q&A with producer Roy Lee. So we're going to try to fit that in so I can have the knowledge of both. But I think it's also important sometimes just to be like, yeah, like I didn't read it, and my perspective is still this fucking rips. So
It's the
that is where
novella's
we're coming
short,
from.
it's sweet, and I based on your reaction, it sounds faithful. That's all I'll say.
From what I have talked to people, it
Yep.
faithful. But anyway, sorry,
Yep.
that was a tangent. You've got me, Matt Donato, film critic of the horror sphere at Donatobomb, DonatoBomb, and that is going to be Blue Sky, Letterbox, Instagram, and TikTok. And yeah, we got Fantastic Fest coming up. We've got Brooklyn Horror coming up. We just have a deluge of horror films I will be reviewing coming up. So busy season, as Monagle said, is 7,000% right. We already kicked it off with Hell House LLC Lineage review is up as of today. Wish I liked it. Big Hell House LLC
Mhm.
fan. And everything that came after it, Monkey's Paw, getting more of those. So that is the first, not the last of my horror coverage for spooky season.
There you go. As for myself, you can follow me just on Blue Sky. It's Monagle at bsky.social or whatever that chart string is. More importantly, you should go and visit certifiedforgotten.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Today, if you're listening to this episode, there's a brand new newsletter that's gone out the door. To our subscribers and to our subscribers only, you get original coverage, thoughts, ideas from myself, as well as a rundown of new certified forgotten articles, old certified forgotten articles, cool stuff happening in the horror community, a little bit of everything. So sign up for that. Make sure that you also follow this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast or YouTube Music or wherever you get your podcast. Like and subscribe and read reviews. I think we're at like a 4.8, 4.9 on Apple, which feels pretty good because we got called woke a couple of times in the early going, which, totally fine. We're happy to be called that. So yeah, that is us. Continue to support Certified Forgotten, because if you take in creative, independent creator owned publications for granted, they will go away. We're seeing that again and again and again. Help us help you. Support the site. CertifiedForgotten.com. See you soon.